J. Crew or Banana that they thought was going to be a big hit and was a dud?
So the classic example of this comes from J. Crew. It's a sweater known as the Tilly, and it was a crew neck sweater that had sort of a cropped fit, and customers were just baffled by this. And J. Crew has said it sold terribly, and it was simply just a matter of fit. It was cropped in a weird way, wasn't comfortable on people's bodies. It just really missed the mark. And then Banana Republic, their chief executive, or the chief executive of Gap, which owns Banana Republic, recently talked about a blazer that they made where women tried to put their arm in the armhole and they couldn't even get it in.
Nothing like building up the self-esteem of your consumer base by creating a jacket where your arms won't go through the armhole. That doesn't seem like a good thing.
And the other thing that might be relevant in this conversation too is where we are in terms of the fashion cycle in general. There's been some conversation in the industry that skinny jeans and flowy tops is a look that's been dominant for almost 10 years now.
May I interrupt you to tell you that I am literally wearing skinny jeans and a flowy top right now. So on the one hand, I'm thinking, oh, I'm cool, I'm like on mark. But you're telling me that I'm like so 2003. Like this style we should be beyond this now.
We are in the twilight of this style, it's true. And so there's been some conversation in the industry that, particularly in this mid-price fashion category, that may be some of where the lack of interest is coming from, is that if you have a great pair of skinny jeans in your closet, which it sounds like you do, what's your incentive right now to go out and get shopping and buying new stuff? We're due for a pendulum swing, and that might be something that would be helpful to retailers of this ilk to get women to come back in their doors and spend some money.
Sarah Halzak covers national retail for the Washington Post. Thank you so much, Sarah, I think.
Thank you, Rachel.
The level of incompetence in this office is skyrocketing.
I'm David Remnick. I don't envy the writers of the show Veep, because these days, real-life politics is much stranger than fiction.
When this show started, it was political satire, and now it feels really like a somber documentary.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the star of Veep. She joins me next time on the New Yorker Radio Hour. Tonight at 7 on 93.9 FM.
WNYC receives support from Charles P. Rogers Bed Company, bed makers in New York for 7 generations, located at 26 West 17th Street and open to the public, featuring their newest collection of beds and mattresses, including the St. Regis Pillow Top. More at charlesprogers.com. WNYC listeners really listen and respond. They call in, post comments, and support the businesses they learn about on our air. Find out how to become a WNYC corporate sponsor at wnyc.org/sponsor.
This week's Puzzle with Will Shorts is coming up next, and still ahead, when most people want to play a game, the first thing they reach for is probably a phone or a tablet, but the Museum of Pinball is keeping the analog games alive. That's still ahead here on Weekend Edition on WNYC. Good morning, I'm David First. Governor Andrew Cuomo will host an Easter egg hunt at the Governor's Mansion this year. The event's scheduled for Sunday, March 27th. Will also include tours of the mansion and an opportunity to meet the governor. To receive tickets, individuals must visit the governor's website and register for tickets by Friday. Ticket holders will be allowed to bring one guest and one child each. 54 degrees right now. We're looking at overcast skies today, a high around 60 degrees. Tonight, we start to see a chance of rain enter the picture. We'll have a low around 41 degrees, and then tomorrow it's going to be rainy and breezy all day and much cooler. So it's going to feel pretty cold with all that rain and wind as well. A high just around 45 degrees, some rain lingering into Tuesday, shifting to drizzle by Tuesday afternoon. It's 8:41.
Support for NPR comes from member stations and from the Siebel Energy Institute, supporting scientific research to increase the safety, reliability, security, and lower the environmental risk of energy production, delivery, and consumption. More at SiebelEnergyInstitute.org. And Chipotle, committed to serving responsibly sourced ingredients prepared with classic cooking techniques, like chicken marinated in Chipotle pepper adobo and then grilled. Chipotle.
This is Weekend Edition from NPR News. I'm Rachel Martin. Grudges have been set aside, hatchets buried, and enemies are now friends on the campaign trail. Carly Fiorina backed Ted Cruz this past week, and on Friday, Ben Carson announced that he is with Donald Trump. So it is time for me to tell you, America, I am endorsing the puzzle. Joining me now is Will Shorts, puzzle editor of the New York Times, Weekend Edition's puzzle master. Good morning, Will.
Morning, Rachel. I can tell you I am not running for president.
You're not? Because you were going to be my second choice after
I am
the
a problem
puzzle.
solver, yeah.
Okay, so what was last week's on-air challenge?
It came from listener Donna Bass of Lake Forest, Illinois. And I gave the example bail, nail, and mail, which are 3 four-letter words that differ only in their first letters. And they happen to be adjacent letters on a computer keyboard. I asked, can you think of 5 four-letter words that have the same property? My intended answer was dive, 5, give, hive, and jive. Turns out there are several others. There's even a series of 6 four-letter words, sunk, dunk, funk, gunk, hunk, and junk. And if you think Jill, which is informal for a girl or a young woman, if you think that's a common word, there's a series of 7 four-letter words, sill, dill, fill, gill, hill, Jill, and kill. We accepted any of those as correct.
All right, so we got over 2,100 right answers this week. Our randomly selected winner is Scott Peterson. He hails from Westminster, Colorado, and he's on the line now. Hey, Scott, congratulations.
Thank you.
Where's Westminster?
It's suburban Denver.
Okay, Denver, basically Denver. And have you been doing the puzzle a long time, Scott?
Probably 5 or 6 years.
All right, well, let's put your puzzling skills to the test. Are you ready to play the on-air challenge?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. Will, take it away.
All right, Scott and Rachel, since daylight saving time starts today, I've brought a timely puzzle. Every answer is a familiar 2-word phrase or name in which the first word ends in D and the second word starts ST. For example, if I said a small red fruit on a vine in the woods, you'd say wild strawberry.
Okay.
Number 1 is our country.
United States.
That's right. Number 2, shock jock, who calls himself the king of all media.
Howard Stern.
That's it. Shirley Temple, for example, when she was 7.
Child star.
Uh-huh. Place to buy LPs.
Record store.
Uh-huh. What luminol can reveal at a crime scene.
Luminol.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that reference.
Uh-huh, but you can figure it out. It's a chemical.
Bloodstain.
Good.
Bloodstain is correct. Informal name for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Food stamps.
That's it. Monetary system that the U.S. abandoned in 1934.
Gold standard.
Uh-huh. Singer of the #1 hits, Maggie May, and Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Rod Stewart.
Uh-huh. Slang for whiskey or rum, but not beer or wine.
Hard.
Yes.
Hard. I'm not getting the second part. Hard. Rachel. Hard.
I don't know. Hard.
I-
Wait, say the clue again, Will.
Uh-huh. Slang for whiskey or rum, but not beer or wine.
Hard stuff.
That's it, the hard stuff.
Okay.
Someone working on a master's degree.
Graduate. No, grad student.
Uh-huh.
Scott, that was excellent. I mean, really, you nailed that. It was very well done. And for doing such a great job, you get a Weekend Edition lapel pin, you get puzzle books, you get puzzle games. If you want to read about your prizes, you can do it at npr.org/puzzle. Where do you hear us, Scott? What's your public radio station?
KCFR in Denver.
Scott Peterson of Westminster, Colorado, just outside Denver. Scott, thanks for playing the puzzle.
Thank you.
Will, what's up for next week?
Yes, the challenge comes from listener Mike Reese, who is a writer and producer for The Simpsons. Take the name of a well-known actress. Her first name starts with the 3-letter abbreviation for a month. Replace this with the 3-letter abbreviation for a different month, and you'll get the name of a famous poet. Who are these 2 people? So again, famous actress, first name starts with a 3-letter abbreviation for a month. Replace that with the 3-letter abbreviation for a different month, and you'll get the name of a famous poet. Who are these 2 people?
When you've got the answer, go to npr.org/puzzle and click on the Submit Your Answer link. Just one entry per person, please. Those entries are due by Thursday, March 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to include a phone number where we can reach you at about that time. And if you're the winner, we call you, and then you get to play on the air with the puzzle editor of the New York Times, and he is Weekend Edition's puzzle master, Will Shortz. And before we let you go, Will, we had talked last week about this controversy in the puzzle world. There's a puzzle editor who was accused of essentially plagiarizing, fraud, when it comes to how he was editing puzzles. His name is Timothy Parker. He worked for USA Today, and I understand there's an update on this story, right? What do you know?
Yeah, last week, USA Today and Universal Euclid Syndicate suspended Timothy Parker, and they have a new crossword editor.
So there were repercussions. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Will, and we will see you next week, same day, same time.
Thanks, Rachel.
You might be playing Candy Crush on your phone right now, but I bet you wish you were playing pinball. Pinball is still cool, despite the fact that there are now pinball museums. Matt Gillum of member station KBCR went to check one out.
It's hidden away just off Interstate 10, about 90 miles east of Los Angeles, in an old industrial building. Row upon row of pinball machines. If they're not turned on, well, it's pretty quiet. But when the switch is flipped, it's gonna get pretty loud. That's Jonathan Weeks. With his dad, John, the father-son duo run the Museum of Pinball in Banning, California. The collection is huge. 650 games ranging from vintage 1950s era machines all the way up to ones based on current TV shows like The Walking Dead. John Weeks, the dad, began amassing the games in the early 1980s.
I built this collection, picking them up one by one, and I'd put them in my house. I'd fill up buildings with them, storage units.
At first, John thought of opening a bar with an arcade, but that would only allow a handful of the collection to be played at any given time. The benefit of the museum is all the machines are out. However, his son Jonathan explains there is a drawback.
You gotta remember when the museum is so large and there's so many games plugged in, just to flip the breakers is thousands of dollars to turn it on for the day.
That means the museum is only open a few times a year. And during a recent rare opening, someone new to the game is trying her hand at it.
Well, my name is Dolores Barrett. I've really never played pinball, but I started out by playing the Terminator, and now I'm hooked.
Although she's old enough to have grown up with pinball, Barrett says her parents never let her have a quarter to play as a kid. Now, she's making up for lost time.
Here we go, and the ball is bouncing about. I'm just waiting for it to go down through between the two things like it just did.